Okay, thought I'd post an update on this 2009 Porsche Cayenne S. Um, so where we left off was, if I remember right, it needed new tires. I'd replaced the HVAC blower motor. That went relatively easy. And the LCD display was non-functional. And the paint looked awful after sitting outside for who knows how long. Um, it was running well after I changed the coil packs and the spark plugs. However, there was a suspected valve cover leak. Um, and to change the tires, there were locking lug bolts or keyed lug bolts that I either had to get an adapter key for them or whatever. I mean, there's 25 different security lug bolts just for this make and model. So I knew I was going to have to take it to the Porsche dealership because they're the only ones that have all those different keys. So they were the only ones that was going to be able to identify that particular pattern. So I did end up taking it to the Porsche dealership, which before I took it, when I was scanning for codes, I actually at one point lost the DME. I could not find the DME, the scanner couldn't. And that was a big problem. And simultaneously, I think it threw a check engine light. So I'd kind of dug myself into a hole in that regard because not seeing the DME, I wasn't going to be able to diagnose the systems and everything. So basically, I told them at the Porsche dealership, look, change the tires, replace the security lug bolts with just standard ones. I don't want those things. And also do a system scan and find out why the DME is not showing up on my scanner. So that's where I was at. I put it, actually before I put it on a trailer, I had a guy come out and detail it. So let's look at the results of that first. Yep, it is better, much better than it was. The detailer I hired, it's more of a paint correction. He decontaminated it. He, put all kinds of removers and the like on it, and then started to go about buffing. Now, some of the areas of the car, even after buffing with a pretty aggressive compound, he still wasn't able to get it to completely shine up. The roof in particular is rough. In fact, there's some points where we believe primer is starting to show through on the paint. I think the clear coat just got so damaged for all those years sitting outside under a tree. It just, aside from a respray, it probably is as good as it's going to get. I mean, it's presentable. It's not bad. Much better than it was before. He went inside and even detailed the engine compartment. And, it wasn't cheap, but this C-pillar here is a good example of, I know he worked hard on that and just couldn't get it to come alive like the rest of the car. But I mean, it's okay. It's much better than it was. So that was done before I put it on the trailer and took it to the Porsche dealership. So here's the security lug bolts that they took off. I don't know what the difference is in the patterns. It's probably the number of splines on them. Could be the shape, who knows. But they're trouble. I'm glad I got rid of them. So I was thankful that they did that. Now, regarding the DME, let's get inside of the car and talk about that. So what the report said, the reason the DME wasn't showing up on the scanner, which they were able to reproduce at the dealership when I first sent it in, was they said there was a bent pin on the port. So, and the report says they replaced the pin, which they're female receptacles. So maybe one of those tangs, let's get right underneath it and look. Maybe one of those tangs was bent or crumpled. I've seen that before on entertainment connectors. So they said they replaced one of those, and I guess there's a fuse associated with that port or whatever. So once they did that, they were able to access the DME and all the subsystems, and they cleared out some codes and all that good noise. Once I got it back from the dealership, I actually took it up to a grocery store. And after I finished grocery shopping, the LCD display came alive, which was really weird, but I was thankful for that. And in the dealership report, it described repairing that, which really high cost. I think it was $2,300 to repair that. And I don't know if they were just talking about replacing the display unit itself or going beyond that. I'd have to reread the estimate. So that coming alive was a blessing. However, after about 3 or 4 drive cycles, it went away again. But I'd already ordered a replacement display from this company called Tannen Electronics. And they've actually got some really good videos about replacing those displays. And there's more on YouTube. So you guys that are having problems with those displays, there's plenty of information. That's the reason I didn't video that. So here's the one I took out. You can see it in there. And I did that a couple days ago. Replaced it because, like I said, it had gone blank again. Let me show you exactly what it's doing, which I thought was all a symptom of, the display panel itself being bad. Turn the radio off. So you can see it's kind of there, but there's no digits. Let me turn it off again. You can see the red part comes up. There should be Porsche script in there. At least for a moment. You take the key out and the display turns off. So I thought that was all a symptom of a bad display. However, after I put the new display in, it's doing exactly the same as the old one. So it's more a symptom of the electronic module that's feeding that display being faulty. And I've got to research some more about that. Now, regarding getting in there, like I said, there's some pretty good videos on all that. Get the wheel out of the way. And it's pretty straightforward. You remove trim here, just pry it carefully. The vent pries out. It's got little clips that hold it in. This trim is actually all one piece, including that and that. This little rubber bezel just pops off. And then you got this trim piece here. It pries out. So once you get all that done, there are 3 screws over here, if I remember right, underneath the trim piece. 2 more screws underneath here. You take those out. There's a hidden screw back behind the vent. Take that out. And then at that point, underneath the rubber bezel, there's a collar, right, that screws onto the key switch. Clockwise tightens. You can take a screwdriver. It's got little notches in it. Unscrew it. And then at that point, you're ready to pull this whole trim piece here. Goes all the way across. That is part of it, across here and here. And just carefully use your trim tools so not to mar up your leather dash. And I mean, the way they have the trim secured on this car is really surprising. It's pretty robust. And I think unless it was a really cold day, you wouldn't fracture any of those tabs. So once that comes off, you don't even, the vent has an electrical attachment to it. Just let it dangle. Let that piece come off. Before you start the whole process, take your wheel, move your steering column all the way out and all the way down to give yourself a little bit more room. Then you get up and start prying on this trim under this dash cover. And that was pretty stubborn. It's got 2 big tabs that hold it in, but once it pops, it'll come out. And at that point, you pry on the edges of this cover and just spring it up a little. That'll help get the gauges out. Now, there is a hidden screw all the way in the back that actually secures back here. You won't be able to get to it though, because all those are T20s, and it would require an extension with a U-joint on it and all that stuff. So, but you don't have to pull it. You'll be able to spring this up a few inches, give yourself some room, and then you're going to deal with, on the instrument cluster itself, there's going to be 2 T20s at the bottom, and there's 4, 2 over here and 2 over here, that hold the instrument cluster in place. And then once you get those 6 T20s out, that whole cluster will come out. There's 2 connectors on the back, and it'll come out. Now, you do have to take the back off the instrument cluster, which is like a real small, I think a T15. That's pretty straightforward, about half dozen of those little screws. And then it's like a white cover on the back. It'll all come off. And at that point, you're basically down to the gauges with like a circuit board that joins them all together. And then you'll be able to access that display. When you take the back off, all this trim and the glass for the gauges, that piece is sandwiched basically. The gauges and the circuit board are sandwiched in between this trim piece with the glass, and then the back on the instrument cluster. Sorry I didn't do all that. I was in a hurry to get it done, but there's other videos that will show you that whole process. Okay, so that's where I'm at this moment with the LCD display. If any of you have had experience and with all this and gone exactly through what I've gone and replaced the LCD display without good results, let me know, because I would like to know exactly which module feeds that, because you have KESI in there. KESI is a security module. It is apparently, I haven't actually seen it yet, but it's up under the kick panel or whatever you want to call it. And then there's also a steering column electrical module that straddles the steering column. I think it's under the gauges. I didn't look for it while I was in there. I probably should have. And it apparently controls all the electronics on the steering column, all the that it's probably the culprit. I'll bet it is. Now, as far as codes, I'm still getting a fault code for Kessie, but all the security stuff works right now. The doors lock and unlock remotely and manually. Both key switches work. The steering column locks and unlocks. Kessie and that steering column lock module are integral to all that. So I'm a little hesitant to pull all that stuff and the DME and the 2 keys and send them to ECU doctors whenever it doesn't really need all that. If it turns out that it is the steering column module, I think that's what it's called, and they'll work on it. I think I've already looked at it as far as a part. It's pretty pricey because it's an electronic module. It's pretty pricey. So I just need to dig into that a little deeper. Anybody with more experience on all this, please comment. So with the new tires and it running well, now I do believe it does have a valve cover oil leak, motor oil leak. I got at one point last week when I drove it to work, I got a flag warning on low oil. However, when I checked it at home, it was only half quart low. So it's not leaking a lot. It's not leaving a puddle, but all the underpinning would capture that. So that's not unusual to have, you know, a leak and not see signs of it, because it would get captured in the belly pan and just get blown out as you're going down the road or whatever. So I did order the gaskets to do both bank 1 and bank 2 on the V8 because when I was under there changing oil, I could see signs of it leaking down the sides of the block. So and the front suspension is oily. So that needs to be done. I probably will document that. I know there's a couple videos that are pretty precise on that, but I only found 1 or 2 as far as the V8 and changing those valve cover gaskets. So that's where we stand at this moment, guys. I just wanted to give an update. Hadn't really shared much on this vehicle. I mean, it's turning out pretty good. I enjoy driving it. It's got plenty of power. The thing will get up and go when you need it. That's where we're at right now. Thanks for watching, and hopefully be able to get some more up for you soon.